What I'm about to show you may change how you think about high blood pressure, because the problem might not only be salt, it might be what's missing from your plate. And when I reveal fruit number one, the one many seniors skip for the wrong reason, you're going to understand why blood pressure can stay stubbornly high even when medications, careful routines, and good intentions seem to be doing everything right. I have watched this happen again and again, and once you see the pattern, you may never look at breakfast, lunch, or snacking the same way again. I'm Dr. William Elliott, and today we're talking about 5 potassium-rich fruits that may be quietly missing from your routine. Before we begin, please subscribe to this channel for clear, life-saving health guidance made simple, practical, trustworthy, and comforting every single week. Because what frightens me, is how many people are honestly trying to lower their blood pressure while overlooking one of the most important mineral balances in the body. Not a miracle cure, not a hidden pill, a balance. And if that balance is off, you can do many things right and still feel confused by your numbers. Now, I need to be very careful here because this subject is powerful, but it can also be misunderstood. Potassium is not a replacement for your medication. It's not permission to stop treatment, skip appointments, or ignore symptoms. And later, I'll explain who must be especially cautious, because for some people, too much potassium can actually be dangerous. But for many adults with high blood pressure, especially those eating lots of processed food, the problem is not only too much sodium, it's too little potassium pushing back against it. That missing piece is what so many people never realize. Here is the explanation people never hear. Sodium tends to pull the body toward holding more fluid. Potassium helps your body release more sodium through urine, and it also helps blood vessel walls relax. That combination matters. It changes pressure inside the system. So if your days are built around canned soup, crackers, deli meat, packaged snacks, and very little produce, your body can get stuck in a pattern that keeps pressure higher than it should be. That's the hidden issue. And it explains why two people can eat similar calories, yet have different blood pressure results over time. Let me tell you about Eleanor, because her story reveals the first big mistake. Eleanor was 72, disciplined, organized, and truly committed to her health. She stopped salting her food. She bought low-sodium broth. She switched to whole grain toast. She even started walking after dinner. Yet her blood pressure kept inching upward, 138 over 82. Then 146 over 86, then 150 over 88. Nothing dramatic, but enough to scare her. She thought her medication was failing. She thought age was catching up to her. What she didn't realize was that her diet became quietly low in potassium-rich whole foods. When I reviewed Eleanor's meals, the pattern jumped out immediately. Breakfast was toast and tea. Lunch was a turkey sandwich on low-sodium bread. Dinner was chicken, rice, and green beans. By ordinary standards, that looked responsible. But fruit had almost vanished because she was afraid of sugar. No melon, no kiwi, no banana, no apricots, no avocado. She had removed a source of potassium without realizing it. That's what makes this topic so important. Because people often cut out the very foods that could help rebalance the system and make their overall diet far more protective day after day. Before fruit number 5, here is the warning many channels skip. If you have chronic kidney disease, if you've been told your potassium runs high, or if you take ACE inhibitors, ARBs, or potassium-sparing diuretics, you must speak with your clinician before aggressively increasing potassium. Your kidneys regulate potassium, and damaged kidneys can let it build to dangerous levels. Certain medications can do the same. So please hear me clearly. This video is about smart food strategy, not reckless self-treatment. Safety comes first, especially if your medical history is complicated or your lab results already concern you right now. With that warning in place, let's get into the 5 fruits. Stay with me, because fruit number 5 is easy to underestimate. Fruit number 3 is the one everybody knows but often misunderstands. And fruit number 1 is the surprise that makes people say, wait, that counts as a fruit? More importantly, for each one I'm going to show you why it matters, who tends to miss it, and how a simple routine change can make it easier to use consistently. This is not about trends or hype. It's about making blood pressure-friendly eating realistic enough to survive ordinary life. Fruit number 5 is kiwi. Tiny fruit, modest appearance, easy to ignore. And that's exactly why so many people miss it. A lot of seniors pass by kiwis because they assume something that small can't possibly matter. But kiwi brings potassium, fiber, vitamin C, and sweetness that often works when heavy breakfasts feel unappealing. It's also easy on the appetite when meals feel overwhelming. One patient of mine, Harold, started eating 2 kiwis in the morning instead of packaged breakfast bars, and that single swap improved not only his fruit intake, but the whole daily rhythm of his mornings. Harold was 76 and proud of being efficient. He liked foods that came in wrappers because they felt portion-controlled and convenient. Every morning he ate a breakfast bar, drank coffee, skimmed the paper, and checked his blood pressure. The readings were never outrageous, but they were always a little too high, hovering in that frustrating borderline range. When we looked deeper, we found a diet loaded with sodium and almost no potassium-rich produce before noon. So I asked him for one experiment, just one. Replace the bar with yogurt, 2 kiwis, and oats for 2 weeks, every single morning. The beauty of kiwi is not that it works like a drug, it's that it nudges the whole breakfast pattern in a smarter direction. People often pair kiwi with yogurt, oats, nuts, or cottage cheese instead of pastries or packaged foods. That means more fiber, more fullness, less sodium, and a better potassium to sodium balance before noon. Harold told me the kiwis felt too simple to matter, but by the second week he was less hungry mid-morning and less tempted by salty snacks. That's how real progress happens. Not through drama, but through repeatable daily shifts almost anyone can sustain. Fruit number 4 is cantaloupe. If you've been treating melon like a picnic side dish, rethink it immediately. Cantaloupe is one of the easiest ways to get a meaningful amount of potassium in a gentle, hydrating package. It's soft, easy to chew, naturally sweet, cool, and juicy, and especially helpful for seniors who struggle with big appetites, dry mouths, or heavy meals in warm weather. I have seen people ignore cantaloupe for years because it still feels ordinary. But ordinary foods are often the ones that quietly protect you because you can actually keep eating them week after week. Let me tell you about Walter. Walter was 80, lived alone, and had developed a lingering summer habit already. He stopped eating real lunches. The heat made him tired, so at noon he would nibble on pretzels, maybe some cheese, maybe half a sandwich, and call it a meal. By afternoon, he felt sluggish and bloated, and his blood pressure was running higher than usual. Everyone assumed it was age or dehydration, but when I asked what fruits he ate regularly, he laughed and said, "None worth mentioning." That answer, was the clue that changed everything about his routine. We built Walter a ridiculously simple lunch: a bowl of cantaloupe, a cup of unsweetened yogurt, and a boiled egg or some leftover chicken. Nothing fancy. Nothing expensive, nothing difficult for tired hands. But suddenly he had hydration, protein, and potassium instead of salt-heavy snack foods pretending to be lunch. Within 2 weeks, he felt lighter, less puffy, and more stable in energy. Again, I'm not claiming melon cured his hypertension. That would be dishonest. But replacing pretzels with cantaloupe moved his whole day in the right direction. And sometimes that's exactly the kind of leverage people need most. Cantaloupe also teaches another critical lesson. Not every helpful food must be exotic. Many seniors think improving blood pressure requires powders, supplements, or expensive produce they can't pronounce. No. Sometimes it means opening the refrigerator and choosing the cut melon before the chips. That's real medicine in everyday life. And if you buy it pre-cut because your hands hurt, that still counts. If you eat it with a fork in front of the television instead of reaching for crackers, that still counts. Never let perfection block progress. Because real progress lowers risk over time, not culinary heroics or perfectionism. Now we come to fruit number 3, the one everyone expects, bananas. And I need to tell you something that may surprise you. Bananas deserve their reputation, but they're also misunderstood. People either treat them like a cure-all, or they dismiss them because they're tired of hearing about them. Both reactions miss the truth. Bananas are helpful, convenient, portable, and genuinely rich in potassium. But they're not the entire answer. They're one player on the team. And when people depend on bananas alone, while the rest of the diet stays salty and processed, disappointment usually follows very quickly, sadly. I think of Leonard here. Leonard started eating one banana every morning after his daughter told him potassium was good for blood pressure. He was so faithful to that routine that he expected his numbers to drop quickly. But 3 months later, he was discouraged. His blood pressure barely moved. So he stopped the banana and declared the whole idea complete nonsense. The problem was obvious. He had added one healthy food without changing the rest. Breakfast still included salty sausage. Lunch was canned soup. Evening snacks were crackers and salted nuts. One banana, was simply drowning in sodium. This is the trap I don't want you to fall into. A banana can help, especially as a replacement for pastries, candy, or salty breakfast meats. But it works best inside a broader pattern. Put it next to oatmeal, not sweet cereal. Slice it into yogurt, not a muffin. Pair it with unsalted peanut butter instead of processed breakfast bars. Use it to crowd out worse choices. That's where the power is. Leonard finally understood that the banana was never the problem. His expectations were. Once we changed breakfast, his blood pressure began steadily moving in a healthier direction. And there is another reason bananas matter so much for seniors. They're practical. They require no washing, no peeling with a knife, no refrigeration before opening, and almost no planning. For an older adult with arthritis, fatigue, poor vision, or a shrinking appetite, convenience is not a luxury. It's often the difference between eating well and not eating well at all. So never underestimate a food that's easy to use repeatedly. The best potassium-rich fruit isn't the one with the flashiest headline. It's the one you'll actually always keep nearby and eat consistently, especially on hectic or discouraging days. But if bananas are the famous option, fruit number 2 is the neglected powerhouse. And this one changes conversations fast because many people haven't thought about it in years. Fruit number 2 is dried apricots. Not candy-coated versions, not syrupy desserts, plain dried apricots. They're concentrated, convenient, portable, and useful when you need more potassium without a huge volume of food. That matters for seniors who get full quickly. It matters for caregivers packing snacks. And it matters for anyone trying to replace vending machine habits with something that genuinely supports the heart, instead of working against it every afternoon. Let me tell you about Gloria. Gloria was 69 and constantly saying she wanted to eat better, but by mid-afternoon she always crashed. When that slump hit, she reached for cookies or salted trail mix because she wanted something satisfying. She assumed fruit could never truly compete. It felt too light, too temporary. So we tried a strategy. A few dried apricots with a handful of unsalted walnuts in the afternoon before the craving spiral started. The result was powerful. Her snack became less salty, more filling, and more supportive of her blood pressure goals, than cookies ever were. The reason dried apricots are so useful is concentration. Fresh fruit's wonderful, but dried apricots pack more nutritional punch into a smaller space. That can help seniors with small appetites or people who say, I just can't eat another big bowl of anything. A few pieces go a long way. Now, of course, portion matters. Because they're dried, it's easy to overeat them, and that's not what I'm recommending. I'm talking about using them strategically, daily, not mindlessly. Add them to oatmeal, pair them with nuts. Use them to interrupt junk food patterns, before those patterns interrupt your health goals. Gloria's story also reveals something emotionally important. Many people with high blood pressure feel they're always being told what to stop eating. Stop the salt, stop the chips, stop the cookies, stop the fast food. Soon, that becomes exhausting. Dried apricots work because they shift the conversation from restriction to replacement. You're not just removing something. You're adding something that serves a purpose. And when people feel nourished instead of punished, they stick with change much longer. That mindset matters more than any fruit, because sustainable habits are what protect you year after year, not temporary bursts of willpower. Now we arrive at fruit number 1. This is the reveal that makes most viewers sit up straighter because they never expected it to top the list. Fruit number one is avocado. Yes, avocado is a fruit. And not just a trendy toast topping. It's one of the most potassium-rich fruits you can put on the table, while also bringing healthy fats that help meals feel satisfying. This matters enormously for people who keep reaching for salty foods because their low-fat meals leave them hungry an hour later every night. Avocado changes that equation, and it changes it beautifully. Let me tell you about Martin, because his story captures this perfectly. Martin was 74 and became terrified of fat. For years, he'd been told rich-tasting food must be dangerous. So he built meals around dry toast, turkey, low-fat crackers, rice cakes, and watery soups that left him unsatisfied. By evening, he was raiding the pantry for chips, popcorn, and snacks because he was starving. His blood pressure kept climbing, and he blamed aging. But his real problem was meals that were joyless, low in potassium, and easy to abandon. Avocado, became the first food that broke that cycle. We started simply. Half an avocado with eggs at breakfast. Sliced avocado on lunch instead of cheese-heavy dressings. Mashed avocado beside grilled chicken instead of salty packaged sides. Martin was stunned by how full he felt. He was even more stunned that late-night salty snacking became easier to resist. That's the hidden power of avocado. It does not just add potassium. It makes healthier meals satisfying enough to compete with the foods that usually sabotage blood pressure. And when a food helps you stay full, stay calmer, and snack less recklessly, it's doing more than a nutrient chart shows. There is another reason avocado belongs at number one. It surprises people out of their old assumptions. Most adults vaguely know fruit is healthy, but think of it as sweet, light, and separate from serious regular daily meals. Avocado breaks that mental box. It shows that fruit can be creamy, savory, filling, and deeply practical for blood pressure support. A person who would never sit down with a fruit bowl may happily eat avocado with lunch every day. That's why this matters. The best food is the one that fits your real life. Not an imaginary version of you. Now, before you rush to buy all 5 fruits at once, I need to stop you for a reality check. Potassium-rich fruit helps most when it replaces something worse. If you add fruit on top of a high-sodium, heavily processed day, the benefit can get buried. Remember Leonard and the banana. Remember Walter and the pretzels. Remember Martin and the pantry raids. The transformation happens when fruit changes the traffic pattern of the entire diet. Less sodium in, more potassium in, more fiber, more satisfaction, fewer processed snacks. That's the real mechanism, and it's far more powerful than gimmicks. So how do you actually use these fruits without making your life complicated? I want to give you a method so simple you can remember it by tonight. 1 potassium fruit at breakfast, 1 at lunch or snack time, and 1 swap where fruit replaces a salty default. That's it. Kiwi at breakfast, cantaloupe with lunch, banana instead of a pastry, dried apricots instead of cookies, avocado instead of salty spreads or chips on the side. You don't need all 5 every day. You need a repeatable system. Systems beat intentions, because intentions disappear the moment life gets stressful. And this is where many people accidentally fail. They wait for motivation. They wait for perfect moments to begin. They tell themselves they will start after the next grocery trip, when family visits, or when Monday arrives. No. Blood pressure improves through environments, not wishes. Put the kiwi where you see it. Buy the cantaloupe already cut. Keep bananas on the counter. Store dried apricots in clear containers, not hidden cabinets. Put avocados beside foods you already use. Make the better choice easier than the worse one. That's behavioral medicine. And it works because it respects real human behavior. I need to say something about fear of sugar, because that fear drives many seniors away from fruit unnecessarily. Yes, fruit contains natural sugar, but whole fruit also brings fiber, water, vitamins, and in these cases, meaningful potassium. That's very different from drinking sugary soda or eating desserts made from refined flour and syrup. Whole fruit behaves differently in the body, especially when paired with protein or healthy fat. So please don't let internet nutrition panic convince you that melon and kiwi belong in the same category as candy. They don't. Context matters, and your body knows the difference. That said, if you have diabetes or prediabetes, the answer is not to fear fruit. The answer is to use fruit intelligently. Pair banana with plain yogurt or nuts. Eat cantaloupe beside protein, not alone after a huge high-carbohydrate meal. Use dried apricots in small portions, not endless handfuls. Choose avocado freely because it's especially gentle in that regard. This is not about banning, it's about structure. The same is true in blood pressure care. Good outcomes rarely come from extremes. They come from thoughtful combinations repeated consistently. That's what lowers risk, and that's what keeps a plan livable. Now here are 5 warning signs your diet may be too low in potassium-rich foods. Number 1, your meals revolve around beige packaged foods with long shelf lives. Number 2, fruit appears only occasionally, almost as decoration. Number 3, you rely heavily on crackers, chips, canned soups, deli meats, or frozen convenience meals. Number 4, you feel unsatisfied after meals and end up salty snacking later. And number 5, you're proudly low sodium on paper, but strangely low produce in reality. If that describes you, this video may be more important than you realized, because the missing piece is suddenly crystal clear. This is why I don't want you obsessing over one food. Some people will hear this and immediately ask, which fruit has the absolute most potassium? That's the wrong question. The right question is, which of these fruits can I realistically use 3 or 4 times a week in place of something less helpful? If the answer is banana, wonderful. If the answer is avocado, excellent. If dried apricots rescue you from vending machine snacks, even better. Your best fruit's the one that changes your behavior. Science matters, but adherence matters too. And adherence is where outcomes live or die. Let me give you a practical 7-day challenge, because some of you do best with a clear experiment. For 1 week, keep medications as prescribed, and don't make reckless changes. Simply add one of these 5 fruits twice a day while deliberately removing one salty processed choice. Record your blood pressure each morning if your doctor asked you to monitor it. Also note your afternoon energy, swelling, cravings, and how satisfied you feel after meals. You may be surprised by what shifts, not because fruit's magic, but because patterns finally start working with your body instead of against it. When people do this challenge, the first thing they usually notice is not a dramatic blood pressure crash. It's something subtler and honestly more important. They feel less trapped by cravings. Breakfast feels steadier. Afternoon snacking eases. Meals taste fresher. Rings feel a little looser. That's what I want you to notice, because those are the early signs that the dietary pattern is changing in a meaningful way. And meaningful patterns, given enough time, can influence blood pressure trends far more than people expect. We're not chasing overnight miracles. We're building conditions where improvement has room to happen, slowly. But remember the caution I gave earlier, because I don't want this message misused. If you have kidney disease, if you've been told your potassium is high, or if you take medications that raise potassium, talk with your clinician before using this aggressively. That's not me being cautious. That's me protecting you. High potassium can become dangerous in the wrong context, and it may not cause symptoms until it's serious. So wisdom here means 2 things at once. Use food intelligently and respect your medical situation. Both matter. One without the other is how good intentions become bad outcomes. I want to speak to caregivers and seniors living alone. Sometimes people don't need a lecture. They need friction removed. Small obstacles defeat tired people every day. Slice the cantaloupe, peel the kiwi, put the banana in the bag before the appointment. Keep dried apricots portioned. Mash the avocado where it's easy to spread. The best nutritional intervention is often the one that reduces effort at the moment of decision. Because when someone is tired, in pain, grieving, or overwhelmed, even healthy intentions can collapse under tiny obstacles. Remove those obstacles, and the heart-healthy choice becomes the natural one. Now let me bring Eleanor back, because her story deserves an ending. We didn't put her on a bizarre diet. We rebuilt her meals with intention. Her meals finally made sense again. Kiwi or banana at breakfast. Cantaloupe with lunch several times a week. Dried apricots for strategic snacking. Avocado weekly to make meals more satisfying. Less packaged sodium. More real produce. After several weeks, her home blood pressure readings were calmer, and, just as importantly, she felt calmer. She no longer felt like she was losing a battle she didn't understand. That matters, more than many people realize. Because that's what blood pressure problems do to people emotionally. They make life feel uncertain. You start wondering whether every headache means danger, whether every salty meal has done damage, whether your body is slipping beyond your control. And when someone offers you a practical, evidence-grounded way to regain a little influence, that can be deeply relieving now. Not because fruit solves everything, it does not, but because understanding replaces helplessness. You begin to see where your leverage is, and leverage changes behavior. Behavior changes outcomes. That chain matters, and it starts with seeing the hidden gaps very clearly. So let's review the 5 fruits again. Number 5, Kiwi, the small breakfast upgrade that can reshape the morning. Number 4, Cantaloupe, the hydrating fruit that can rescue weak lunches from salty convenience foods. Number 3, banana, the famous classic that works best when it replaces worse choices instead of standing alone. Number 2, dried apricots, the concentrated snack that can interrupt cookie and cracker patterns before they gain momentum. And number 1, avocado, the satisfying powerhouse that helps meals feel rich enough to keep you away from processed snacks. That lineup, can genuinely change a routine if you let it. If this helped you, share it with someone who keeps saying they're avoiding salt, but still can't understand their numbers. They may be missing the other side of the equation. And subscribe, because on this channel, my goal is not to drown you in jargon. It's to show you hidden mistakes, missed opportunities, and practical strategies that make sense in everyday life. Your blood pressure is not just a number on a machine, it's a signal. And sometimes that signal is asking a simple question: where is the potassium? Listen carefully, and your next meal may start answering it.